This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday morning, or whatever day of the week you're watching this. This is Saturday Morning Mysteries, and we're your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And we're back for week 3, I believe, of our Wild Thornberrys arc, which has been super wild, as the name suggests.
Implies.
Wild,
we should have known.
Dangerous, life-threatening. Of course, we're telling some like survival-esque type stories here, reminiscing on this amazing show from the 90s. And today, Grace is on deck. She's up to tell us our next tale. So I'm going to hand it off to her.
Thank you. So before we fully dive in, we got to get to a couple things as usual. So first of all, sometimes listeners and viewers might have noticed that I switch back and forth in what I call you. Sometimes I use your real first name, Alexis, but other times I use your last name, which is how I usually refer to you since high school, which is Bird. And I point this out because the animal focus in this episode, Bird, is, you guessed it, birds.
Okay. Great.
Did you not think it was going to be birds?
All. No, I did. Yeah. Of course. It's just like, oh boy. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get so confused. Like, what? Why does she keep saying my name?
I know. That's why. What? I'm listening. That's the whole point of the show. I'm here to listen to your story, Grace.
Yeah.
Why do you keep trying to get my attention?
I'm not in this episode of Wild Thornberrys. Why do you keep saying I'm talking to Eliza?
But before we get into Bird, that's how I'm going to refer to it every time. I'm just going to double down on saying it.
That's how I'll know. She said it twice.
Me? Bird? What? Okay. So let me briefly point out that our criminal in this episode is also sometimes our hero. Because, yes, that's right. Eliza is our criminal mastermind here. And as they're always traveling abroad, she's an international criminal.
Uh-oh.
Yikes. So we're going to backtrack even more before we get into Burbs or Eliza's international crimes. Yes, plural crimes.
Oh my gosh.
Episode.
Uh-oh. Where's the Chans?
Get the Chan clan on Eliza. She would definitely be friends with the kids who all think that they are committing crimes for the greater good. Like, you got to spend money to make money. You got to commit crimes to solve crimes. She's not trying to solve crimes.
You have to get in the mind of the criminal. You have to know that one time, if you're Ann Chan, that one time that I murdered that lady by pushing her down,
then I can solve all these other crimes. But like in this scenario, Eliza's like, what? Solve crimes? What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Yeah, Eliza's just straight up committing crimes. She's not trying to solve another one for a greater. We'll get into it. So we're going to talk about the country we're in today because it's a place that I had heard of, but literally knew nothing about. And while our countries aren't like necessarily the primary focus in Wild Thornberrys, this time the country itself is relevant for the crimes Eliza's going to commit. So, because she's breaking their laws.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to talk about this country because 2 seconds into Googling it, aka literally only using Wikipedia as my source today, I realized that this country's flag has a fucking dragon on it.
Oh.
Their national anthem is called the Thunder Dragon Kingdom.
Oh, that's
because
cool.
Locally, this country is known as the land of the Thunder Dragon, which is so fucking cool. This country is Bhutan. So, for those like me who did not know until I started Wikipediaing this, Bhutan is a small country in South Asia, nestled in like the eastern Himalayas, and is kind of between, it's like stuck between China and India. It's often related to Nepal, but I guess doesn't actually share a border with Nepal. It is just under 15,000 square miles, which size-wise is between the sizes of West Virginia and Maryland.
Wow.
Like, yeah, small. I think Maryland was like 9,000. West Virginia is like 24,000 square miles. So yes, very small. It only has a population. It's somewhere between 730 and 770,000 people. So like less than 1 million people live here in this tiny country. And let me tell you, Bhutan seems cool as fuck.
Nice.
I'm sure it has plenty of issues. Here's the thing.
Didn't research them.
Didn't research them. And sometimes it's just nice to only look at the positive. But like, for example, some brief things that I like saw and was like, nah. Is in up until 1999, the country had a ban on television and internet, which like feels problematic. But guess what? I only researched what I found interesting. So I said,
but guess what? I'm just going to ignore that.
As I was, scrolling through in 1988, there was a census to crack down on immigration. Specifically like from India and Nepal. Yeah, maybe they used military force to deport between 80,000 and 100,000 people and were accused of using torture, rape, and murder to do so. But you know what? Which country among us hasn't done that against a race they hate?
They're just trying to fit in.
Obviously. Kidding, but also
the global order.
Right. They were pretty isolated and they were like, how can we play with the big guns here? Literally the big guns. Let's deport and murder.
We want to sit at the cool kids table.
Invite us. We come to the UN, but we have to sit at the not cool kids table. You know what could get us there? Murder. Military force. But like I said, I read those sentences on Wikipedia and said, scroll. Let's get to
the pictures.
Let's get to what I want to talk about, which is not the negative, but the positive. Especially realize like half the countries I talked about in like the Chan Clan episodes, the Amazing Chan episodes, which was our last arc, were all like, let me tell you about this military coup. Let me tell you about these uprisings, revolutions.
To the extent that we even knew what countries they were like referring to in those episodes. Half the time they didn't even say. Yeah. And so now the one time that they're like, this is the country they're in, I'm like, let's not talk about all that.
Dragon flags. So, and I was telling Alexis beforehand, sometimes life gets real hard and it has been. And so instead I said, fun things only for Bhutan. So we're not
going to focus on the negative.
Yeah. So this is also an apology to anyone who actually lives in Bhutan, possibly, or has been affected by Bhutan, that I blatantly decided ignorance would be bliss in this episode for myself. So I'm sorry that I chose this path, but I did today.
So here we are.
And as Nigel explains at the start of our episode, which involves the Comm-V pulling up to the border of Bhutan. So I think they're going via India or China, which the border here, this border crossing is this elaborate like gold gate lined with guards and has lush forests surrounding the gates and mountains erupting behind them. That while most countries are focused on their GDP, aka their gross domestic product, Bhutan is focused on their GDH, their gross domestic happiness, which is true. This country actually publishes like how happy their people are every year. I don't know how often they do it. Didn't look into it, but they do legitimately. This is part of like the core of like how they measure how well they're doing as a country. And so, speaking of Nigel and the Thornberrys, as they roll up to this country, they are here specifically to film the black-necked crane migration dance. which the black-necked cranes are actually a protected species in Bhutan. And some people consider it in the country, they consider it a blessing that when these cranes migrate and do circles like around their valleys, because it's very obviously with like mountains erupting everywhere, a very like peaks and valleys-esque country. And yeah, they consider it a blessing when these specific cranes during their migration like come to their specific valleys, which is pretty cool. Nice. Eliza, for her part, is stoked to see this bird in hopes to get a feather for her collection. So she apparently has this giant collection from all around the world of bird feathers, which is super cool. And Bhutan, by the way, this tiny ass country, has about 770 species of birds.
Wow.
Which is a lot for
a country that's small.
Yeah, very small place. I'll talk about it soon because we're going to sprinkle in some more Bhutan facts here. It's incredibly biodiverse. So Debbie, for her part, is stoked because they get to stay at a royal palace in this country.
Nice.
Because Bhutan is a kingdom, technically under a constitutional monarchy still. And so, yeah, they've been invited to come film this super cool migration dance of these black-necked cranes, and they were invited presumably by the king, so they get to stay at the palace. And as we know, Debbie hates the convy life, so she is ready to be a princess and calls herself that. And even at the very beginning, when they're like, hey, okay, everyone, get all like the luggage and filming things out of the convy, Liza's like, all right, Debbie, it's your turn. And Debbie goes, do you think I'm a commoner? And just leaves.
Wow.
She's princess mode.
One side of that palace, and she's like, oh, nice. Leave that old life behind.
Exactly.
Forgetting that it's princess probably like just a weekend trip.
It's like one overnight, et cetera, et cetera.
Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, good for you, Debbie, honestly.
Yeah.
So as the family gathers their things to be taken into the country by a royal escort who's meeting them at the border, Nigel is the one who's going up to like go through customs with all the proper paperwork and all that shit. Hilariously to me, at the gate, the guard says, oh, it's nice to have you here, Mr. Thornberry. And Nigel blushes and like waves a hand and goes, oh gosh, you recognized me? But then we see the guard is just looking at his passport and looking at the picture of the passport and Nigel and says, thanks, Mr. Nice to have you here.
Yes, I do recognize you.
Yes.
From the passport I'm holding.
Passport from the document that has your photo on it. So the guard explains to Nigel that it's crucial that they keep track of exactly who is coming in and out of the country, which is why he's basically like, sorry, you have to go through all this custom shit. Like it's pretty tight on the customs side of things. Because the country is such a biodiverse hotspot and delicate ecosystem, that all of this monitoring of who's coming in and out and how many people come in and out is actually part of their environmental protection strategy, which it turns out is true.
Oh, wow.
So Bhutan, does actually have a very incredible environmental protection strategy in the country. And Bhutan is globally seen as a model for proactive conservation initiatives, especially when it comes to its vast biodiversity. So, for example, over 40% of its territory is either national park, reserve, or another protected area. They're currently working to protect and connect migration corridors, which is very important in basically biodiversity protection and health and conservation and stewardship. And between 60 and up to 70% of the country is maintained as forest and like forest cover.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Which
massive percentage.
Because of that has made it the world's first carbon neutral country because they have such healthy forests. And its conservation just in general is at the core of the country's development strategy rather than like a one-off thing. Of course, like all countries, they have problems when it comes to development, habitat loss, industrialization, climate change. But exactly, I ignored those problems because I was impressed and sad. So I said, let's focus on the positive. Yeah, so that's exactly what I did. I said carbon neutral country. Hell yeah.
I'm not scrolling any further.
Yeah. 40% is national park or protected area. Fuck yeah, Bhutan. Cool. Let's do it. And as Nigel and I learned during this episode, indeed, it has a strict allowance of tourism and immigration, which is part of their management as well for the environment. So the country restricts the level and type of tourist activities people can take part in. Although in recent years, it's loosened up a little bit. Like before, you had to go through the country to plan like where you would stay, which is thus what the Thornberrys are doing. But now like you can book your own stays and like what you're going to do. But even so, it's still pretty strict. And it only lets in a certain number of people into the country every year. And 2019 was a high point for visitors, where the country allowed 315,000 people as tourists alone in the country. And that was it. No more at all. That was the cap.
Wow.
And this is pretty interesting because if you were another podcast, you could have a debate over the fact that you essentially have to be rich in order to visit Bhutan, because unless you're an Indian national, you have to pay $200 per night that you're in the country as a sustainable development fee.
Oh my God, just as that one fee. Not even. Yeah.
Exactly. So
your lodging, your food, all the other fees they probably throw in there.
Exactly. Any of that. It's solely, are you going to be in our country? Every day that you're here, or night that you're here, that you stay, you must pay us $200 for sustainable development, which goes again back to environmental management, which again, other podcasts, you take that on. Us, nope.
I have my thoughts, but oh well.
But we're not going to talk about it here. Instead, we're going to focus on the positive, which is they care about the environment. And like some other countries where, well, if you're a US citizen, there's a lot of countries where we can just show up and like, we don't need a visa to get in. If you're a United States citizen, you just show up, go through customs, they stamp your passport, you fill out one form, you're off. But in Bhutan, this is not one of them. You have to arrange all of your visas in advance. Again, before you had to like arrange all your accommodations via the country. I'm sure even now you have to tell them like where you're staying, how you're getting around, all of that stuff. And it's because, again, of this sustainable development, really limiting how many people can come to their country. It's basically called, like they call it high quality, low volume tourism, which is they're going to give you the best of the best. Again, you got to be rich to visit in the first place, but low volume, super low impact from tourism. Which again, other podcasts probably get into how visitors, not just to countries, but to like even our own national parks, their impact on these public lands and spaces. But again, not our problem.
Not for us today.
Exactly. So truly, Bhutan is not fucking around when it comes to their tourism numbers and environmental impacts, both in the real world and in the wild Thornberrys.
Okay. Cool.
Because the guards informed Nigel that there was a sudden change in plans because there are suddenly 2 ambassadors who must come to the country. And thus, they can't let all 4 of the Thornberrys in. Only 2 of them can come in because they had to give the 2 other spots to more important people. Now, I don't know if that's how it actually works, but in the show, it is. So
yeah, okay. It's a parallel, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. But either way, we know they are super strict about who can come in and out of the country, super monitored. It's a whole legal process. And you know what? Thornberrys, 2 of y'all got ousted.
Yeah.
So
Donnie and Darwin.
Sorry about it. Hilariously, actually, Donnie was never on. All right. Well, here's the funny thing. So because this poses a dilemma for the Thornberrys, because maybe it's because I just don't have kids that I was like, great, parents weekend out, bye. Like Debbie is 16 and can babysit. But instead they like take a step back and they're like, oh no, like we can't leave the kids alone. One of us is going to have to stay back with the kids. The other one can go and maybe bring one of the kids, which now that I'm saying all this and you just pointed out, they only had 4 visas. They were going to leave Donnie either way. Like, they only have 4, and now they're debating, oh God, we can't leave Debbie and Eliza alone. They need an adult. But apparently Donnie was
damn, they never planned on it. Wow. Yikes. Ooh, joked on wrong.
Just realizing that. But I guess, he was raised in the wilderness. They were just going to let him out for a few days.
Like, he'll find his way back to the hotel or what, the convy.
Donnie's like a house cat.
Yeah.
Indoor, outdoor cat.
He doesn't actually qualify as a human, right? So we technically have 2 pets. It's 4 humans and 2 pets.
Sorry, pets can come in. Humans, sorry about it.
Yeah.
But yes, no, instead, yes, Nigel and Marianne are like, oh shit, one of us has to stay back with the kids, like, or has to babysit, but like, we came all this way. What are we gonna do? So they decide, very, very cutely, Nigel is like, Marianne, you go, like, I'll stay back with one of the kids. Like, this is such a special experience. Like, you deserve to have it, girl. And also, like, you go, girl, you stay at the palace. So, like, they love each other. It's cute. But immediately, the girls, Eliza and Debbie, immediately start fighting about who gets to go with their mom. With Eliza's side of the argument being that, like, I want to see these birds. And Debbie's argument being, I want to stay at this palace. And Debbie, the older child, eventually gets the upper hand in the argument by straight up lying. It's a whole thing. She like takes credit for something that like Eliza did to help the family out. And then the parents are like, okay, great. You get to go. Thanks for that. Debbie and Marianne hop in like the royal escorts, like Jeep and go off before Eliza can prove herself, Eliza can't have her day in court, basically.
Gotcha. This is not a democracy.
No. Not when you're a 16-year-old girl and about to be a princess.
Yeah.
Monarchy.
We're going to monarchy, baby. Yeah.
So
authoritarianism
at its finest when you're 16. Nigel is not bothered one bit by all of this, and he decides that he, Eliza, Darwin, and Donnie can have what he calls a border party.
Those hit different these days.
It really did. I had to remind myself, like, nope, this is.
I mean, even back then.
Yeah, like immigration was still
it's always been a mess.
We just didn't have Twitter to show us the photos of it.
Yeah.
But in Assault on the Wound, he like whips on like a cowboy hat to be like, it's a border party. And I was like, you think you in Texas or something? What's going on here? This ain't cute, Nigel. But anyways, their version of a border party, we can play some instruments, but also like we don't have to be in Bhutan to see all these cool birds. Like we're in the middle of like a forest jungle still.
True.
Let's go bird watching and just like hang out the Conv, which like they just have like parked outside of the border. And so they're just we'll be here.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch to see like how they depict their border. It's just like them outside of the like gates or whatever. It's the Conv right there.
It's quite literally like rode into the border, pulled off to the side, Conv, like very small building, which must be like the guardhouse.
Yeah.
Very elaborate gate with maybe like, this is a casual border crossing wherever they decide to go in with like, maybe each side has like 20 feet of wall. And then I will say, and then just very dense forest and then like mountains. Gotcha. So like nature is going to be part of the wall here.
Okay. It's a green belt, if you will.
Exactly. And like the border guards, I mean, like, I don't think you see them with weapons, but they're definitely in military uniform. Mm-hmm. It's clearly cold. Everyone's like in their winter fits. And they've got like little fuzzy warm hats on, but I will say, like, is a heavily patrolled border wall, though, to be like, we're serious about this immigration and tourism thing. Like,
yeah. All right, well, we'll just be parked right here if you need it.
We'll be here. Okay, bye. I think Nigel was like, well, they knew me at the border, so I can stay here.
Mm-hmm. Famous. Perks.
No big deal. They knew my name. They called me Mr. Thornberry. Mm-hmm. They know me. So while Nigel is like getting all like their bird watching supplies out, like bird costumes to like attract them, bird whistles, all of this stuff. Eliza is just sitting there. It's like her face darkens and she just says, one way or another, I'm getting into Bhutan.
Oh no.
Darwin is like, say what now, girl?
Sounds like you're planning some sort of international crime, Eliza. Did I just hear you correctly?
This is intent to commit international crimes.
Yes.
And again, Nigel is just like whistling for some birds. Donnie is being real cute and just like climbing around on Nigel, getting stoked about bird watching, which like understandable. And Nigel is like, oh my God, Donnie, like we haven't done this yet. Like I'm gonna teach you how to call in some birds with like all these little like bird whistles and a bird accoutrement. So as one little bird, a warbler to be specific, flies by, Donnie scares it off and Nigel is like, that's not how you do it. Like, come on, family, let's get this bird watching. And then they all watch the bird fly into Bhutan. And Nigel says, ah, yes, borders can keep people out, but not animals. And with an evil grin, Eliza slowly looks at Darwin and says, borders can keep people out, but not animals.
Oh, no.
Darwin is scared at this point. We set the scene. Darwin is like, nervous.
I'm an animal.
Yeah. Darwin is like, I ain't no animal. Look at my striped turtleneck sweater because it's wintertime.
Oh, because it's cold. Nice tank top.
I will say all of their like winter outfits are very cute. Darwin just has like a long sleeve version of his fit on. Donnie, I was shooketh, has overalls on and like a long sleeve shirt.
Okay.
Which makes sense. He's not in his like jungle boxers because it's very high elevation and cold. I think Marianne and Nigel just have like long sleeve versions of their stuff on. Debbie's outfit, I like wrote down and then I was like, I don't need to say this, but now I am. She's got her flannel, but she also has like a wool, like very cozy turtleneck. And that's like oversized. And as someone who lives like 9 months of the year in like large, comfy, chunky sweaters, I was like, cute.
That's a fit.
I'll wear that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, where'd you get this?
Getting some style inspo from the wild Thornberrys.
Exactly. Again, I said in my first episode, it influenced me in so many ways.
Many ways.
So here's the plan that's hatched or forced upon Darwin by Eliza.
Yes.
So Darwin, an animal, will go up to the border gate and just like distract the guards by being a chimp and like tumble around and like dance around. Meanwhile, Eliza, under the forest cover, which Bhutan is 70% of the country, forest cover, we now know, will sneak in where the wall ends and like duck into where the forest is and hide, and then they'll meet up, and then bam, they'll be in Bhutan, ready to see some birds dancing. And Darwin, as usual, is why he was scared, immediately gets bullied into this plan and forced to do it. So he does.
So he does. Bullying always works. There's the there's the lesson of the day.
That's it. It works. Here's our first crime, that Eliza is illegally entering this country. And now, again, if we were another podcast, maybe we would take the time to debate over immigration, tourism, visas, calling it illegal versus legal. But we're Saturday morning mysteries. We're going to avoid this debate. And again,
talk about the cartoon.
I'm making everything sunny in this episode because it's what I needed. And you know what? Technically, yes, this is illegal by Eliza to sneak into this country. So
knowingly.
Yes, knowingly. So that's just what we're going to refer to it as. So here we go. It's for the sake of the environment and the ecosystem. And Eliza says, fuck your environment and ecosystem. I want to see these birds. I'm coming in, baby. So the guards must be totally bored out of their minds because, like I said, it works. Darwin like dances around. The guards are laughing. Eliza sneaks straight into the country, like laughing to herself, like these fools.
So simple.
It's so simple. Here's my first question. This chimpanzee dancing around is clearly dressed in human clothing. Like, he doesn't get down to his skivvies. He's clearly someone's pet.
Yeah,
no, he's just not a normal chimp. Also, like, for a very like biodiverse conscious country, they should know if they could have chimpanzees or not. They just let Darwin like chimp his way in.
Yeah.
A little confused.
Like this chimpanzee is not from here.
Right. Like, he's going to some quarantine so he does not bring some diseases to our very fragile ecosystem and animals here. And why is he dressed in human clothing? Like, is this a person in a costume? What's going on?
Oh, hey, let's go ask the family in that convy over there if they know.
Which we just saw the monkey walk out of.
Yes.
The chimp walk out of. Because it's 10 feet away from our border crossing. But I guess not. They're bored. They needed something. They needed something in their lives. And so while these guards weren't sus, another Border Patrol guard was, and immediately catches Eliza.
Okay.
In the forest waiting for Darwin, who had just again illegally snuck their way into this country. Also, probably without their passports and stuff, but whatever. They just straight up are like, we just saw you walk in.
Yeah.
You were just caught red-handed like 2 seconds from our border.
Like, we literally have been following you since you left the convy.
Exactly. We saw you look kind of evil. We just walked to the edge of this border wall where we knew you'd be crossing in. So now we have you. Yeah. So her stint as an international criminal is immediately thwarted by this Border Patrol guard, who must be the literal nicest Border Patrol agent in the world. Because instead of doing the millions of things that other agents, perhaps in the U.S., do, he just escorts Eliza and Darwin back to their dad, who just like gives them a slight reprimand and says, this is a lesson you only need to learn once, right? The Border Control agent says it to Eliza, to which Eliza, a liar, says yes. Sure. No problem. So Nigel is so damn focused on trying to get Donnie to do better at these bird calls with all these bird whistles that he doesn't really care about this whole, my daughter was just brought back by law enforcement to me after
agents,
admittedly committing a crime. And he doesn't seem to notice that 10 seconds later, there is a cart passing them filled with hay on the back. Some young man is driving it, and it's being towed, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, by a takin, which, for those who don't know, are the national animal of Bhutan, which apparently is not a dragon. It's these little guys, these huge guys. And
is it like a reptile of what? Yeah,
I will tell you about it here.
Okay, please.
So, according to Wikipedia, because again, am I gonna research possible crimes and corruption in a country? No. Am I going to go into in-depth research about this animal? Yes. So it is an ungulate, which is like a hooved creature like deer or elk or something, who, quote, whose large head is distinctive by its long arched nose and stout horns. And that was according to Wikipedia. And according to me, Grace, is also so fucking cute. They are like a musk ox goat yak thing who live in the mountainous part of Asia. And I don't know if they actually pull carts, but like, I thought it was a yak at first, and I am going to need to literally pause this podcast so you can look it up really quick.
Okay, thank you, because I was like slowly reaching for my phone here, like, how do I Google this while she's still talking?
I literally wrote in, I need to pause the show. Please look it up. Viewers, listeners, look up Takin, Takin. You'll probably recognize them, especially look up them as babies.
Yeah, now I see, because I was trying to, in my mind, say, like, what's a muskox plus a goat?
Yes, they are
Bhutan. There we go.
Cute. Look up them as little babies. They got little like stubby legs, and they're just like little fuzzy, and they got little horns. The males and females get horns, I'm pretty sure.
So
but yes,
this is the national animal, dude. This looks like it could haul some definitely haul some carts.
Yeah, carts filled with hay.
Yes.
And filled with a young child and her chimp.
No. And
because
like, what else? Of course.
yes.
Oh, sorry, they are so adorable.
I know.
I'm still looking.
I gotta
anyway,
tell you,
okay.
this episode has some cute ass animals in it. Like again,
it's Bhutan. They take care of their. They take care of their
them. Thus, they're allowed to be cute. All the countries that don't take care of their animals have ugly animals. Well, we have a eagle as our national animal. Is that even national? Probably.
I think so. They're so pretentious.
They are so pretentious. Also, have you ever actually heard an eagle cry? Fun fact. The like caw sound that like we think of when we hear an eagle is not a fucking eagle. It's like that like squawk is like some type of hawk that the US has just used as the quote unquote eagle sound. Eagles have ugly ass, not majestic, like squawk noises. So
yeah,
take that, eagle. Bhutan has this cute ass animal who I would love to have as our national animal. Anyways, they are in some zoos in the country. If only we had
them here.
They're at the San Diego Zoo because I looked it up.
Okay.
And some other zoos.
So boom, make it our national animal.
So again, did I look up more things about immigration or how like their environment is actually damaged? No. Did I look up where to see tackins in the US? Yes. I did. Thank you very much. So anyways, yes, this animal can pull a cart and some hay and a small child and monkey or chimp because Eliza immediately clocks it, has learned no lessons, grabs Darwin and immediately throws her and Darwin into this cart, hiding in the hay. And on one hand, this works again because they do stow away, again, illegal crossing into this country. Oh
gosh.
Eliza should know it's illegal because she had to. Anything you have to hide to do, probably not.
Clearly,
great.
Yeah. And because she has been, well, the first time she tried to clandestinely illegally enter, and then she was stopped and told not to do it again. So she is fully aware.
Yes, she
fully aware.
Knows what's going on here. So again, on one hand, it works. Like this is like someone who is Bhutanese, perhaps, and he's just able to go into the country.
And what does she think is going to happen, though? I mean, like when she gets in there, like they're not going to check her papers again. Maybe they won't. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, one.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you. Eliza did not think that far in advance.
I can tell.
At all. Especially, it's funny that you mentioned that because a way earlier plan before the like animals can get into the animals have no borders comment. Earlier, Eliza was like, okay, Darwin, what if we just like dressed up as like Bhutanese people? And Darwin was like, yeah, a redheaded Bhutanese girl.
Yeah, it's like, have you looked in the mirror?
Yeah, like a white and freckled redhead. Like, what's your plan? And a chimp? What? Because you put different clothes on, Eliza, you dumbass. But yes. So again, Eliza did not think that through, that she would immediately stand out like a sore thumb in this country. So on the other hand, while this did work, and this goes to your point of like, or I think the point we were trying to make here is Eliza did not plan this shit out in any way, shape, or form. She wants to see that migration dance. She can't just look at the footage later from her mom and Debbie. She's got to see it IRL, get that bird feather. But on the other hand, the momentum of them leaping full force into this cart kind of like pushes the cart a little bit because physics, and kind of like hits the butt of the tack-in. I'm going to say it differently every time because I don't know how to say it. So it makes this animal, understandably, freak out and start sprinting in through the gate, start sprinting not towards the palace, but up the mountainous dirt roads that were just off of the side of the gates. Because again, gates, forest, mountains. So suddenly realizing they are full speed ripping up these Himalayans with this uncontrolled animal. Also, the person driving the cart is freaking out because he's like, why is my animal freaking out?
Why?
And like,
never happened before.
Having been on no brag. Some of the roads in the Himalayas before, they are some of the scariest roads I've been on my entire fucking life. So Eliza and Darwin are like, what's the answer here? Let's just now throw ourselves out of the haystack and hope that the hillside, the mountainside we tumble down is chill. So that's what they do. They just like yeet themselves out the side and
tuck and roll.
Literally tuck and roll.
Down a mountainside.
Mad. Yes, down a mountainside into the valley. Also, please note, they were so stuck in the haystack, they weren't watching. They don't know where they are. They weren't like peeking out to see the road they got on to get there.
Super inadvisable.
Yes. In a country they've never been in before, in the middle of the mountains and forests, because 70% of the country is still covered by forest very properly. So
keep throwing that fact in there.
Just, the happy facts. So yes, luckily what they yeet themselves out onto is just a rolling hillside down into a valley, but they do roll down into this valley, and wouldn't you know it, it starts to rain.
Oh boy.
That's like in my first episode.
Great.
Darwin, who this whole time has been an unwilling accomplice forced into this crime, is all but crying and saying, now we're stuck in the rain and Debbie gets the palace. Speaking of Debbie in the palace.
Oh, yes. How's she
what
been?
Have they been up to?
I bet.
Yeah. So Marianne and Debbie at this point have been brought into this very extravagant palace full of rugs and fine wood and gold. And they are like, fuck yeah. Once they get to their room, they're like draping themselves in fine robes. They are living their best lives. They're drinking tea and like straight up acting like royalty, of being like, oh, Deborah, would you like another cup of tea? Oh, mother, yes, please. Like that kind of stuff. Like, you know what? Good for them. But as the rain starts up, the royal escort like knocks on the room and is like, hi, I am so sorry. There's been like a little bit of a kerfuffle, a little change in plans. Please gather your things. We just got to move you to a different room because it turns out the ambassadors are going to stay in this room. We just got to put you in a different one. No biggie.
Dang, the foundation hooked them up though. That's like they're in the room with the ambassadors also staying.
I know. Toss.
Quite the deal, yes.
I know. And like because of that, Marianne and Debbie are like, oh my God, no problem. Like we get it. We got the hookup here. We're staying at this palace. It's gonna be fine. Like if it's not this extravagant room, it's gonna be another one. But we see cut to the royal escort being like, or ambassador, or escort being like, look, we're so sorry about that. That was our last guest room because again, cap on tourism. But you know what? We've decided to put you in a place that will be closer to the whole point that you're here, where the cranes are going to migrate, dance in, which is like off the palace grounds in a tent in the mud in like the middle of the valley. So extremely downgraded to, just camping. And the guard's like, sorry about it. I'll bring you food in a little bit. Bye.
What?
Debbie immediately starts crying.
Like, I bet Debbie's pissed. She starts crying.
Debbie is just sobbing, like throws herself onto the sleeping bag, sobbing. So like two different points here. Darwin and Debbie both just crying in the rain right now.
Yes, for different reasons, though.
Yes, I will say even Marianne, who like usually is the like, we'll make it all better, is like, we don't get the palace. It'll be fine. This is all fine. Everything's fine.
I fucking hate this job.
About to break down too. Yes.
Yeah.
So just because again we're running through what everyone else is up to right now, back at the Combi, Nigel is trying his darndest to teach Donnie how to use these different whistles, and is actually feeling really bad because Donnie, the little jungle boy, just does not know how to like properly use a whistle. He just like spits into it and like yells into it. They're not calling any burbs over. So as this rain now suddenly is coming down, Darwin is begging to go back to the Combi, but Eliza, who knows she's in too deep, Like, there's no turning back now, bro.
We've
Sorry.
already crossed the border.
Exactly.
The hardest part's behind us. But also, like, does she even know her way back? Are they lost? Like, they were under the hay. They didn't see where. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Yes, they, like I said, have just did not know what road they took once they entered the border on this sprinting animal. So they also, because this animal was sprinting, like couldn't have gauged how far they were.
Yeah.
They've now also, they know they've gone up slightly into the mountain, but now thrown themselves into a valley. So it's not like they can look and scope, or even like they should have just thrown themselves onto the road, so at least they had a vantage point to be like, can we see the palace or the gates?
Stay up high. Always take the high ground.
Here's the keep that in mind.
Oh, okay.
What you just said. Just
okay.
Put a pin in it.
Gotcha.
Because briefly, I will say, Darwin sassily is, after being like, let's go home, under his breath says, you'd think part of talking to animals would be listening to them too, which, you're right. You're right,
wrong.
Darwin.
Yeah.
But Eliza, even though she can talk and hear animals, ignores him entirely.
Of course.
Looks at the rain and casually remarks, I hope this isn't one of Bhutan's famous flash flood thunderstorms they get during monsoon season.
Oh, how just terrible would that be?
Uh-huh. And you know what they see happen right now? Before what you probably think is going to happen, they see another animal.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, this episode has the cutest animals in it, because you know what they see in a tree come down? A goddamn motherfucking red panda.
Oh,
one of the cutest creatures in the whole face of the earth.
Man, good luck. That's good luck, I think.
I know.
Is that good?
I think it is considered good luck in many places. And it just crawls down into a little tree. And like, for y'all, again, Google, if you don't know what a red panda looks like, Google red panda, specifically Google like a red panda in the snow, like playing with each other at like zoos, because they just have those stubby legs
of the snow.
Yeah, and they just like play and like bop each other and just it's making me want to cry. They're so cute, so pure in this world.
Yes.
And this red panda like pops her head out of the tree, and is basically like she overheard Eliza being like, "Is this a flash flood?" The red panda like pokes her head down and is like, "Yeah, it is." Like, hey girl, cute hair, because Eliza's a redhead too.
Also redhead.
And basically says like, yeah, y'all better get yourselves to some higher ground ASAP, because like this valley is about to flood. Okay, bye. And like scurries up a tree because she knows how to be safe.
She's getting the high ground.
Yeah, she's getting the high ground, which, like you said, correct. They should have stayed in high ground. Not just take the high ground, folks, but yes, get the high vantage point.
On the high ground.
Y'all threw out your one upper hand that you had. But for some reason, instead of being like, oh, that cute ass red panda just went up a tree and you're a literal chimp and I'm an adventurous young girl.
Yeah.
We should
trees all the time.
Climb up this tree too, because clearly it's a safe tree. If the wildlife is going for it, we should go for it. But instead, Eliza is just like, no, we'll find the road again. Let's just go through this valley.
And he like sticks her finger up in the air like, we fell probably 50 feet that way.
We're like surrounded by the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Like, Darwin, did you bring your rock climbing gear to get back up onto the mountain road? Yes, no? It's fine.
Cool. We're good.
Yeah, we're Eliza. Totally fine. So, yes, because they didn't listen, or they chose to listen to Eliza, who was listening to no one. A flash flood immediately sweeps into the valley.
Yeah.
Luckily, Eliza and Darwin are able to scramble up on some like large boulders as a small river suddenly appears around them. And let's just pause to look at their situation, because currently
it's bad.
They're stuck it's it bad because they're currently stuck in a flash flood, slowly rising river on a boulder after they rolled down the side of a cliff off a hay cart they illegally stowed away on in a foreign country that does not know they're there, with parents who also have no idea where they are. And it's like 2000, so they don't have cell phones or ways to communicate, and they also probably are lost as fuck. So they're fucked right now.
So this is not
the long
good.
and short.
Yeah.
And at this point, I said to myself, this is teaching a good life lesson to kids that crime doesn't pay off. There's going to be consequences.
Always take the high ground.
Always take the high road, kids.
I mean, yeah, crime doesn't pay off. Yeah, that.
Yeah, you know, literally and figuratively, crime doesn't pay. Take the high ground. Don't. When they go low, we go high.
We go high. And we stay high.
We stay high, damn it. So as they are hanging on to these rocks, realizing that they've made, well, they is incorrect. Eliza's realizing she's made a horrible mistake. She probably still thinks they. Darwin is realizing Eliza's made a horrible
this is
mistake.
her fault. Yeah.
Yes. Darwin is fully like, what the fuck have you done to me? This is how I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And no one's going to know that we're here. Great. But what happens as they fly overhead is a flock of black-necked cranes, the very birds, the Thornberrys, were there to film. Yeah. They are flying over very gracefully and majestically. They're pretty cool ass looking birds. Because again, Bhutan got the wildlife. It's where it's at. So Eliza, with her ability to speak to animals, cries up to them for help. And these birds, because I researched it, weigh about 12 pounds. So what the fuck are they going to do?
Yeah. About are they big enough to carry them?
No, that's why I looked it up, because I was like,
yeah. It's like,
there's no way. Yeah.
Eliza hasn't eaten today, maybe.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Absolutely not. This is like what, a 10-year-old girl? I don't know how old Eliza is. And a chimpanzee. There's no way it's going to happen. No. So instead, I will say they do come down. They're like, whoa, what's going on? First of all, they say, have you tried just swimming? Like, you dumb primates? Is
Humans,
the vibe.
Don't you know?
Yeah. Literal primates.
Yeah.
Humans and chimps.
Yes.
Just swim. But the current is too strong for them. And I will say, because we always have to give little shout outs to the guest voices here.
Ooh, yeah. Here we go.
The voices of these cranes are truly beautiful, which I appreciated. I will say I did not write down the names because there were no like huge names, but I think the voice actors and actresses were at least Asian. I think they were not Bhutanese who voiced them, but I was like, okay, I'll give you props that y'all chose the right continent to give these voice actors.
Yeah.
And in like a hilarious, just a small world connection thing, one of the voice actors or actresses, who again, I forgot to write down their names, was also, this is a deep cut for those who have seen this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, was the cook in the movie Clue, which also starred Tim Curry, who is Nigel. Yeah. So I think Nigel must have been just like grabbing coffee with his buddy from this one of the best films of all time from the 80s and was like, oh shit, my call time's coming up. Oh, hey, we need another voice actor today. You want to be a crane? Let's go. Yeah. Let's do this. So
okay, sure.
She had like 5 lines and then went back about her day, I guess. So
about her day. Like, okay, I'm out of here. Bye. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. I'll catch you later. I'll text you later. Oh, it's 2000.
Your agent will reach out to my agent.
Yeah, I'll email you later.
That. Yeah. Cool.
Bye. So instead, because again, these cranes, and they ain't picking them up. They're like, we'll be right back. We'll go get a larger animal who can help. They go get another talking.
Okay,
no. I also had that thought. I was like, there are sloth bears in Bhutan. They could definitely they would probably
kill
just
you.
fuck up. Yeah, exactly. Like these animals, like Darwin would probably be food for them. I think the cranes were smart enough to be like, let's just go get the national animal of this country who's clearly a hero.
There's no way they'll attack you. They have too much to lose to their reputation. They're very well minded on that.
Exactly. They were like, they know what's at stake. They're one slip up.
They're the red panda.
They're competing for cuteness.
That spot.
The red panda has had a very strong PR team going out with all these cute videos of them in snow. This is when YouTube is about to be invented, and they know they're going to get on there. Talkin's got.
They run a tough campaign.
Exactly. And so, yes, Talkin's like, high stakes, high reward. I will be a hero and give us one more point. What's the red panda going to do in this situation? Drown? Probably.
For probs. It already probably did.
It ran away. Yeah, it probably did.
It ran away from the danger.
Yeah, I forged through this river, which it does do. Because Talkin's weigh between 660 to 770 pounds. So forging this river and then having Eliza and Darwin hop on its big old back, no problem.
Nice.
So, yes, the Talkin, I'm saying it differently every time because I don't know how to say it. So I'm just hoping one of these times is correct. So they do indeed bring Eliza and Darwin to the shore and to higher ground. And I kind of assume, like, tell them how the fuck to get back to the road and thus how to get out of town. Or, aka this country, or to the palace or something. And after they thank all of the animals for their help, Eliza is finally, rightfully over it. And just like, I will say, not necessarily over it, she's just like defeated. Here's a couple thoughts on that. One, is it the stress of being an international criminal on top of having a rainy day? Perhaps, because one side of me is like, correct, girl, yes, go home. Another side of me says, you've already come this far. You've broken international borders. You've committed international crimes. You've cheated death at this point. Just finish the job. Follow the birds. You've already done it.
Yeah. The hardest part's behind her.
Yeah, the hardest part's over. Just finish the job, basically, is what I thought at this moment. Another part of me wondered, would Eliza have said, let's just go home, if she had not literally just seen and spoken to these cranes that she wanted to see and speak to? Like, yeah, she wanted to see the dance, but like, she did get what she wanted by seeing these birds still. We'll never know. But I guess the main thought is what happens immediately next, which is the life lesson I originally gave is not the life lesson, because on their way home, crime did pay off, because Eliza and Darwin immediately see the spot where the cranes are doing their migration dance.
Of course.
Yes, which, like, watching it, I'm like, no, this is a mating dance. They just couldn't call it like a migration. What is a migration dance?
What is a migration? Yeah, that's kind of been biting at me the whole time. It's like, whatever, maybe she'll get to it.
Yeah, no, I'm getting to it now. That's, I don't think, a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ornithologists let us know. I think it's a mating ritual going on.
Yeah, they could have at least just said, like, their seasonal dance, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's super G-rated.
Exactly.
Aside from all the near-death experiences.
And crime. And teaching kids how to commit crimes.
Yeah.
Here's how you stow away across a border.
Yeah. Watch closely. Yeah.
Watch closely, kids. But again, not only did crime, as we now learn, pay off because they got to see the ritual dance, but because they're able to sneak back out of the country. No problems at all.
Unseen. Oh my goodness.
Unseen, unheard, unnoticed.
This will not go on her permanent record.
The moral of this episode is that crime is fine if you get away with it. Like,
if you're going to commit crime, be good enough to get away with it, and then it won't matter.
Because we learned the first time, if you're bad at it, you'll get caught and somewhat in trouble, which is what happened. You just have to be, basically, to be a smart criminal, which Eliza turned into this episode, and it's fine. Yeah. No problem, kids. That's the lesson here. But they do arrive back home at the Comfy. Nigel embraces them very interestingly and knowingly, says, was the pull of Bhutan too strong for my little explorer? Which I guess is him basically being like, you illegally enter that country? No problem.
You got back. They didn't catch you. It's all good.
Yeah, which I guess also means like Nigel ain't no snitch. He does gently remind her, like, next time, sweetie, keep in mind that Bhutan limits visitors to protect the environment, and the slightest transgression can throw the whole delicate system out of balance, which is true, is a good reminder, but again, is him acknowledging, oh yeah, I realized that you went and snuck off in that country. And instead of being like, should I try and get some authorities to like get my daughter? Which, like, correct, never call the cops on your own kids. Not good. Not going to help the situation. But it started a flash flood. Was he not concerned about like,
is my daughter dead? Is she alive? Like, none of these things ever crossed his mind. He's just like, oh yeah, Eliza, cross the border.
Like, oh, my little
Donnie,
explorer.
How about we look at birds?
Get back to these birds, which like is exactly what he's been doing, is like trying to get those birds here. And in that exact moment, Debbie and Marianne also, legally come back.
Them. Yes.
Having just finished the crane's migration dance. They're also like covered in mud because of the shitty tent situation.
Yes.
They basically, there was this whole subplot in which like they were like, we got to act like it's fine. And then they were like, no, this sucks. We're coming home. Also a whole subplot where like Debbie and Marianne are always at odds because it's a teenage daughter and her mom, but they like embrace each other because they very adorably bonded during the hardship. Debbie apologizes to Eliza about lying earlier, and she gives her a feather from one of the cranes because Eliza had totally forgotten that because the stress of crime and near death clouded her brain. So everything ends up okay. And the episode ends with Nigel saying, like, everyone seems to be just so happy, which, well, except for poor Donnie, who never got to see the birds, which, speaking of, where is Donnie? And they like pause and look around for a second. And we cut to Donnie on top of the combi, literally perfectly, like no whistles, making his own like bird calls. And he's gone like full Snow White. His arms are out and there's birds like on his arms, like on his head, like all these exotic birds like flying around him as he's like singing to them perfectly. And that's how it ends.
He's like, really, Nigel, this whole time was just slowing me down. Dad was slowing me down. It's like,
Father, you know nothing.
I don't know how to call for the birds.
Watch me
as soon as he goes away. Like, beautiful singing. I love
Donnie's like, I was part of Red Hot Chili Peppers. I know a thing or two about singing. And just crawled up on the combi, and again is just like, it's all the birds.
Just bring in Red Hot Chili Peppers to start playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Californication, and all these birds just appear.
Butanication for all the birds. And I don't know if Debbie and Marianne realize all of Eliza's international crimes, but again, Nigel ain't no snitch.
He ain't no snitch. He'll never know. He'll never know, because also he's like, no, I can't tell my wife that I just like let her do that twice. I just let Eliza cross the border illegally twice.
Not only
she'll never leave me alone with him again,
but like fully brought back by authorities twice. Like, wasn't like she came back and told me, and I was like, don't do that again. But like,
it was like, no, the border agents,
Border Patrol.
She was in their custody. It was bad.
Right. It was really not going to look good on any of us.
No.
But I could see Nigel spinning it as being like, but look, Marianne, our genius daughter, she didn't get caught the second time. Aren't we proud? Which he kind of was.
Marianne cannot argue with that.
Yeah, his like concern was like over the environment and being like, yo. Not like, hey, don't break the law, but like, hey, this is in place to respect the environment, which is what we got to do here.
He knows how to reach Eliza. He knows what she cares about.
That's true. That's true. Because I think it's all he cares about too.
Yeah, she's like, she doesn't really care about crime unless it's a crime because it's harming the environment. Let's be real.
Yes, exactly. So
that's how you get to Eliza.
Yeah,
that's the environment and the animals.
Oh, we can reach her.
Right, Dad. You're right. Okay, I won't commit a felony ever again.
She doesn't say that. She doesn't say sorry to him about it. She's just like, I know. That's it. That's all she says.
Got it.
Cool. Oh, look, Debbie and Mom are back.
Yeah.
Where's Donnie?
Perfect timing. Distraction. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, give me that bird feather. Because triply rewarded. Then she gets the bird feather at the end. So,
she has learned nothing. She's learned nothing from this. She's reinforcing negative behavior.
Exactly. She's learned, and like you said, crime is reinforced right now in Eliza's young eyes, youthful eyes. Yep. So there you go. That's the episode.
Amazing. Great job.
Thank you.
Cannot wait to watch. I love seeing all the cute animals that they put.
It's good. Yes, everyone go look at those cute ass animals. They are fucking adorable. And between now and next week, we're gonna have more Wild Thornberrys. But who should our listeners and viewers tell about the show?
Let's see. This week, I think you should tell a Border Patrol agent. So easy for anyone in Texas or something right now in South Texas watching, or I guess maybe if you're in California or New York and you know someone that works at
any of Canadian Border Patrol, like
there too.
That side, not the
Mounties.
Yeah, maybe don't tell the U.S. ones in the southern U.S. I don't want to talk. Dude, they seem scary. Maybe don't go talk to them.
Only if you have to.
Yeah.
Who should they tell?
Then I think you should go tell an ornithologist, someone who studies birds. Ask them about the black-necked crane and their migration ritual.
If there is such a thing as migration dances. Yeah.
Yes. And until next week, bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.